Because you gotta love it. It's great here.
I love the city. It's always a bit of an adjustment because in New York, no matter what, if someone's being nice to you or if they're being mean to you, they're yelling at you.
At 45, Katie Holmes is, at last, speaking openly about a period of her life long wrapped in careful silence.
Raising daughters.
There were days that I wasn't great, but there were days that I felt okay about it.
Her
Surrey and
reflections touch
navigating
on
what Katie
Tom
called
Cruise,
an intense
his
time
connection
following
to
her 2012
Scientology,
divorce.
and the quiet reasons behind a story
Just
that has
swimming.
lingered in public memory for years. For more than a decade, questions circled without answers. Assumptions filled the space where clarity never came. Now, that closed chapter is being opened with restraint and reflection.
Yeah?
Yeah, our family's gonna chill and we're gonna, we like taking those times. I mean, that is a very special time, all these holidays.
Which Tom is a senior Scientologist. He's single-handedly saving the planet. And that is the truth. I'm not trying to be funny. That is what we're told. That is what we're told. So if you say anything about him or do something like what Katie did, which was take her daughter and save her daughter's life, she's considered an enemy.
Hollywood romances often follow unusual paths, but their story unfolded at remarkable speed. What began with a widely publicized first date quickly moved through public appearances, an engagement, the expectation of a child, and a wedding, all within 18 months. The pace was intense and highly visible. It carried the gloss of spectacle and the weight of constant attention. Yet, as with many fast-moving romances, it was not built to endure.
It's something that has helped me incredibly in my life.
Yeah.
And I've been a Scientologist for over 30 years, and it's something that, without it, I wouldn't be where I am.
After the separation, the deeper truth remained hidden, protected by polite statements and long stretches of quiet. 12 years later, Holmes is offering context rather than spectacle. Her words shift the focus away from headlines and toward understanding. By the time their paths crossed, Tom Cruise was already a global figure. His name carried the weight of box office success and decades for audiences who had grown up watching him. His face and presence were instantly familiar. With an ease that seemed effortless, he projected confidence, charm, and a screen presence that commanded attention. His rise began in the early 1980s with early appearances in Endless Love, Taps, and The Outsiders. But it was risky business that shifted everything, lifting him from promising talent to cultural force. That momentum only grew. Top Gun sealed his image as a defining star of the era and secured his place among Hollywood's elite. Through the 1990s, Cruise expanded beyond image alone. Performances in A Few Good Men, Mission Impossible, Jerry Maguire, and the unsettling Eyes Wide Shut revealed range and ambition, reinforcing his standing as a lasting power in the industry. Even Katie Holmes later acknowledged that the distance between them was real. In a July 2004 interview with 17 magazine, she spoke with open admiration about Tom Cruise, admitting that she once dreamed of marrying him. At the time, it sounded like an innocent confession. In hindsight, it felt quietly prophetic. What followed, however, would be far from ordinary. By March 2005, her life shifted almost overnight. Holmes had just ended her engagement to Chris Klein, a breakup that caught fans and tabloids off guard. In another interview with 17 magazine, she remained measured, offering only a brief explanation, saying that Chris was not supportive enough of her career. The words were simple, but they carried weight. Soon after, an unsettling moment unfolded during a televised interview. Cameras continued rolling as Holmes stepped away to take a private phone call, softly saying, "I love you," before returning and dismissing it as a call from her mother. Few believed that explanation. The clip spread quickly, stirring speculation and unease. Just 1 month later, in April 2005, questions gave way to disbelief when Holmes and Cruise appeared publicly together in Rome. He was there to accept a Lifetime Achievement honor, yet attention settled firmly on the unexpected pairing and on how swiftly everything now seemed to be moving. Speculation spread almost instantly. Many observers questioned whether the romance had been carefully timed, noting that both careers stood at pivotal moments. War of the Worlds was nearing release for Tom Cruise, while Batman Begins was set to reintroduce Katie Holmes to a wider audience. Quiet suggestions of strategy and image management filled tabloids and late-night conversations. Then came the moment that shifted everything. Cruise's appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show, the usual rhythm of promotion, disappeared. Instead, his attention centered entirely on Holmes. He spoke with unfiltered emotion, praising her repeatedly, before leaping onto the couch in a display that instantly entered popular memory. The footage traveled quickly, replayed and debated across every platform of the time. Years later, Seth Rogen suggested the moment had been amplified in editing, recalling Cruise saying the producers made it appear more intense than it truly was. Their public closeness was constant and impossible to overlook. Appearances were carefully staged, with posed smiles, lingering embraces, and moments repeated so photographers would not miss them. One image in particular stood out, Tom Cruise dipping Katie Holmes backward in a gesture that felt lifted from an old Hollywood romance. For Holmes, this was more than a relationship. It was a long-held dream unfolding in real time. In earlier interviews, she had spoken openly admiring Cruise's inner circle, including director Steven Spielberg and actress Penelope Cruz. She was also clear on her own ambition, unashamed of wanting to rise to the highest level of the industry. So when Cruise proposed just 2 months into their relationship, she did not hesitate. He asked the question at the top of the Eiffel Tower, transforming the moment into a public spectacle. Soon after, at a Paris press conference, Holmes appeared beside him, quietly displaying a large diamond ring. Cruise called the proposal magnificent, saying Paris and the tower reflected their shared sense of destiny. Only 3 months later, in October 2005, they shared even larger news. The couple announced they were expecting their first child. In April 2006, their daughter, Suri Cruise, was born. From the outside, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes appeared untouchable. Fame, wealth, and a growing family formed an image of effortless success. Yet behind the composed smiles and constant flashes, one presence carried quiet weight in Cruise's life. His deep commitment to Scientology was becoming an unspoken source of strain, slowly pressing against the edges of their carefully presented story. Following the whirlwind that brought their daughter into the world, Holmes stepped fully into public view as Cruise's wife. Attention intensified overnight. She was no longer simply marrying a celebrated actor. She was aligning herself with one of the most influential figures in Hollywood, and the expectations arrived immediately. On the surface, the marriage carried the glow of a modern fairy tale. Privately, the reality was far more complex. A later investigation by Vanity Fair detailed the deliberate path that led Holmes to becoming Cruise's partner, placing his long-standing ties to Scientology at the center of the narrative. Following his separation from Nicole Kidman and the end of his relationship with Penelope Cruz, reports suggested efforts were made to help him find a new companion. Several prominent women were said to have been considered, including Sofia Vergara and Scarlett Johansson, though both were rumored to step away, uneasy with the beliefs surrounding him. The search moved slowly, and by the fall of 2004, nothing had fully settled. Reports later suggested that the church encouraged a pairing between Tom Cruise and an actress described as both talented and deeply committed to Scientology. That connection faded quickly, following a pattern seen before. Everything changed, however, when Katie Holmes publicly expressed admiration for Cruise in an interview with 17 magazine. Just 7 months later, the two were linked. Holmes would later explain in the New York Times Style magazine that developing feelings for Cruise felt natural, shaped by years of admiration that made the relationship seem almost inevitable. Even so, nothing about the situation unfolded casually. Her involvement was closely observed, with reports noting that a Scientologist named Jessica Rodriguez was assigned to remain constantly at her side. Rodriguez accompanied Holmes nearly everywhere, particularly during their European press appearances while promoting their summer films. Her presence was noticeable. She often spoke for Holmes during interviews, gently redirecting questions away from sensitive subjects. When public opinion or Scientology came up, the conversation was quickly closed. Some journalists assumed Rodriguez was Holmes's manager. That assumption deepened when Rodriguez referred to herself as Holmes's best friend, despite having known her for only 6 weeks. Speculation deepened when, not long after publicly stating she was not a member of the faith, Katie Holmes announced that she had embraced Scientology during an interview. The change prompted mixed reactions, particularly as Jessica Rodriguez remained close by, visibly supportive and encouraging. Holmes spoke of finding the teachings engaging, sharing that she was receiving spiritual counseling and taking courses. She explained that she felt at ease identifying as both Catholic and a Scientologist. When asked whether she felt pressured, Holmes was firm in her response. She spoke warmly of Tom Cruise, describing him as loving, generous, and kind, and insisting he would never impose his beliefs on her. Being with him, she said, felt like a privilege. These declarations led to their wedding on November 18, 2006, in Italy. The ceremony unfolded within a medieval castle, illuminated by fireworks that turned the evening into a carefully choreographed spectacle. Inside the historic Odescalchi castle, designer Giorgio Armani later recalled the moment Holmes walked down the aisle in her off-the-shoulder gown as quietly striking. The setting appeared dreamlike, even as unanswered questions lingered beyond the walls. The guest list reflected the scale of the event. Attendees included Jennifer Lopez, Mark Anthony, Brooke Shields, Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Jim Carrey, and Jenny McCarthy. The celebration continued inside the castle's Grand Hall of the Caesars, where emotion settled gently over the evening. Toasts were offered with warmth and restraint. Katie Holmes shared a quiet father-daughter dance to What a Wonderful World, a moment that felt intimate despite the grandeur surrounding it. Later, she and Tom Cruise took the floor together for their first dance as a married couple, moving slowly to Songbird. It appeared to mark the beginning of something serene and hopeful. Yet even as the glow of the wedding lingered, subtle tensions were beginning to surface. Away from the cameras, the atmosphere was not as effortless as it appeared. Over time, quiet reports suggested that harmony was harder to maintain than the fairy tale suggested. The shift was gradual, almost imperceptible at first. When the marriage later came to an end, many were surprised. In hindsight, the signs had been present. By 2010, the tone had noticeably changed. Stories of distance and strain circulated quietly, even as Holmes spoke publicly of contentment. In an interview with Marie Claire, she described her life as incredible and said she felt fortunate to be Cruise's wife. Behind those composed words, however, was a reality still unseen. The timeline itself began to invite closer scrutiny. One early moment drew attention months before their daughter was born. During a televised special with Barbara Walters, Tom Cruise revealed that he had purchased a sonogram machine for personal use, later stating it would be donated to a hospital. At the time, the comment raised concern. Medical professionals noted that private, non-clinical use of such equipment was highly unusual. Soon after, the Food and Drug Administration issued reminders that personal use of sonogram machines fell outside standard regulations. The episode added another layer of unease to Cruise's unconventional approach to family matters. Further questions emerged years later when actress Leah Remini, a former member of Scientology, recounted an unsettling moment from the wedding in her memoir. She described entering a bathroom and seeing several women, including Cruz's sister and an assistant, gathered near the baby during a tense exchange. Remini wrote that the tone used felt unexpected and inappropriate for a child, an impression that stayed with her long after. Taken together, these accounts suggested a consistent pattern. Across Cruz's relationships, observers noted themes of intense oversight, unusual boundaries, and recurring controversy. According to some observers, a pattern appeared to repeat itself. Each marriage seemed to end as Cruz's wives reached the age of 33, a number some linked symbolically to Scientology history. The Hubbard Association of Scientologists was founded in Phoenix, Arizona, a city located along the 33rd parallel. As Katie Holmes approached her own 33rd birthday in 2012, many quietly anticipated a separation. Behind the scenes, Holmes was not passive. As pressure mounted, reports later suggested she retained 3 separate law firms across different states, a strategy designed to avoid attention while preparing for every outcome. Communication was handled with care. She reportedly used a temporary phone provided by a trusted friend to speak to her attorneys, keeping plans contained and discreet. One of the more unexpected details involved the prenuptial agreement. It was said to have been drafted by Holmes's father, a practicing attorney, and described by insiders as remarkably thorough. While precise contents were never made public, Vanity Fair reported that the agreement filled 5 full banker's boxes, suggesting an extraordinary level of preparation. Accounts of the financial terms varied. The Mirror claimed Holmes secured a figure exceeding $50 million for herself and her daughter Suri Cruz. What remains clear is how quickly the separation unfolded. The prenuptial agreement allowed the process to conclude in just 11 days, a remarkably short period for a split of such visibility. Some suggested that Holmes's father, a lawyer by profession, may have anticipated the marriage's fragility and structured the agreement to protect both her daughter and granddaughter, while also allowing Tom Cruise a clean and uncomplicated exit.
Whether that interpretation is accurate or not, the outcome was notably restrained. There were no public legal disputes, no prolonged negotiations over parenting arrangements, and no sharp exchanges played out in the press. Holmes later released a brief statement describing the separation as a private matter, emphasizing that her primary focus was the well-being of her daughter, Suri Cruz. Cruz's representative responded in a similar tone, acknowledging sadness over the separation while stressing his continued commitment to his children and requesting privacy for everyone involved. The message underscored his intention to remain present and supportive as his daughter grew up under constant public attention. After years marked by intensity, scrutiny, and moments that often felt surreal, the marriage closed quietly. Many wondered what would follow for a couple once seen as untouchable. Holmes remained guarded and private, offering little insight into her emotions. Years later, the story shifted quietly when Katie Holmes and Jamie Foxx subtly confirmed a relationship that had unfolded almost entirely out of sight. Reports suggested they had been together for nearly 4 years before allowing even the smallest public acknowledgement. Notably, that moment came shortly after the 5th anniversary of Holmes' separation from Tom Cruise. According to TMZ, Cruz had enforced a strict agreement that limited Holmes' ability to speak publicly about their marriage or openly date for 5 years. In 2016, a source told Radar Online that while Holmes was permitted to date privately, she could not do so publicly, and no partners were allowed around her daughter during that period. The arrangement added another layer of control to an already tightly managed chapter. In return for honoring those terms, reports claimed Holmes received approximately £3.6 million in child support and an additional £3.8 million for herself. From the outside, it appeared she followed the agreement closely, She lived quietly and kept her personal life carefully contained. That discretion defined her relationship with Fox. After connecting at a charity event in New York in August 2013, they avoided attention entirely. Few knew that the two had actually met years earlier, reportedly introduced by Cruz himself at a football game. At the time, Fox and Cruz were friendly, having worked together on Collateral, a detail that later gave the situation a subtle sense of irony. Even as rumors grew louder, the relationship remained carefully guarded. By 2015, that privacy nearly slipped. Katie Holmes was seen at Jamie Foxx's surprise birthday celebration at Le Bain in New York, where insiders later noted her unmistakable warmth toward him. Soon after, photographs surfaced showing the pair holding hands outside a recording studio. Still, Fox maintained his stance, calmly repeating that they were only close friends. Meanwhile, Holmes' connection with Tom Cruise had faded almost entirely. In the years following the divorce, the two rarely spoke publicly about one another, and communication between them was said to be minimal. Their lives moved forward on separate paths, with little overlap. Around her 41st birthday, Holmes reflected on this period in an interview with InStyle. She spoke about how many people only begin to understand themselves later in life, and how experience had taught her to trust her own instincts rather than constantly yielding to others. Many readers interpreted her words as a gentle acknowledgement of lessons learned from her marriage. In the same conversation, she described relocating to New York City after the separation. The transition, she said, felt overwhelming, shaped by constant attention and the responsibility of raising a young child. What sustained her during that time was not status or privilege, but simple human kindness. One memory stayed with her. When her daughter Suri Cruz was 6 or 7, Holmes attended a ballet at Lincoln Center, while Suri stayed overnight with a friend. Late that evening, Suri called, asking to be picked up. Holmes went immediately. Suri fell asleep on the ride home, and the cab driver quietly carried her inside she would not wake. It was a small gesture, but one that meant everything. Questions have continued to follow Tom Cruise's absence from his daughter's public life. He and Katie Holmes have not been photographed together in more than a decade, and recent reports have only deepened the discussion. According to sources cited by the Daily Mail, Cruise is said to have missed significant milestones, including Suri Cruz's high school graduation and portions of the college application process. For a family once so visible, the contrast has been striking. Since the separation in 2012, Cruise has reportedly had little direct involvement in his daughter's day-to-day life, a reality that has prompted ongoing scrutiny. In 2013, he strongly disputed claims suggesting abandonment by filing a defamation lawsuit against Bauer Media. When asked whether Holmes had left to shield Suri from Scientology, Cruise dismissed the idea as speculation, choosing not to offer a definitive response. He did, however, confirm one notable detail. Cruise acknowledged publicly that both Holmes and Suri were no longer practicing Scientologists, while maintaining that there had never been any need to protect his daughter from his beliefs. Rather than settling questions, the statement intensified them, renewing conversation around the distance between father and child. In the years following the separation, those close to the situation have suggested that Tom Cruise's relationship with his daughter did not grow closer with time, but gradually more distant. Sources have claimed that while he has continued to meet his financial obligations, his presence in Suri Cruz's everyday life has been limited, even during milestones like preparing for college. The divorce agreement, however, remains clear. Regardless of personal involvement, Cruz is required to cover her education and related expenses. Once Suri reached adulthood, the annual child support payments reportedly ended. Yet the legal documents still outline continued responsibility from medical care, insurance, education, college costs, and extracurricular activities. A source cited by the Daily Mail noted that Cruise has consistently honored those financial commitments. Through it all, Katie Holmes has remained a steady and deeply present figure. She has raised her daughter with quiet dedication, guiding her through each stage with care and consistency. Insiders say Holmes has been closely involved in college planning, encouraging exploration while respecting Surrey's wishes. Reportedly, Surrey feels most grounded in New York and has shown interest in fashion, choosing to stay close to the life she has built with her mother. For Holmes, this chapter carries mixed emotion. There is pride, love, and support, alongside a tender awareness of how quickly time moves and how even the closest bonds naturally change. And so the question lingers: was Scientology an unseen force that slowly strained a Hollywood marriage, or was the relationship always under more weight than it could bear? The answer remains open, shaped by perspective and time. If this story moved you, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. A quiet like or a subscription helps these stories continue to be told. See you in the next story.